We're going over system TES, Talmud Sefirot, part 1, Tzimtzum restriction, and Kav line. Table of questions and answers for the meaning of the words. And we'll go over just one concept today, which is the rules to understand Talmud Sefirot, that we always start with. That the idea is that when we're reading this, we need to understand that it's unnecessary if we're talking about reality, and we make it necessary when we're talking about perception. We make it impossible when we think it's talking about the past, and we make it possible when we understand it's talking about states of the future. And it's secrets when we think it's talking about others, a creature, or whatever. We make it disclosed when we understand it's talking about ourselves. So it's states of perception in the future that we go through ourselves. Note, forgetting the meaning of a word regarding some issue is worse than erasing that word from the issue. This is because the alien perception would blur the matter entirely. Hence, accustom yourself through the table of questions and answers until you can answer them by heart without trouble. Number 1. What is or light? 1. Or light. Part 1, Histaklut Pnimit, inner reflection, number 18. Everything in the Olamot, worlds, that exists as existence from existence, which is everything but the substance of the Kelim, vessels. See items 2 and 24. Number 2. What is or, light, and Kli, vessel? Number 2. Or, a light, and Kli, vessel, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, in a light, number 6. The will to receive in the Netzal, emanated, is called Kli, vessel. And the Shefa, abundance, that he receives is called or, light. Number 3. What is or Agol, round light? Number 3. Or Agol, round light, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light, number 100. An or light that makes no discernment of degrees. Number 4. What is or Pashut, simple light? Number 4, or Pashut, simple light, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light, number 30. An or light that is mingled with a Kli, vessel, to the point of indiscriminating the or light from the Kli, vessel. Number 5. What is or Hochma, light of wisdom? Number 5, or Hochma, light of wisdom, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light, number 50. An or light that is nimshach, attracted, to the Netzal emanated in the first Hitpashtut expansion, being the general sustenance and atzmut essence of the Netzal emanated. Number 6. What is or Hassadim, light of mercy? Number 6. Or Hassadim, light of mercy, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light, number 5. An or light that closed the or Hochma, light of wisdom, and nimshach, attracted to the Netzal, emanated at the first Hitgavut, overcoming. Number 7. What is empty Avir, air? Number 7. Empty air, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light, number 5. It is all the Hassadim, light of mercy, before it is closed in or Chochmah, light of wisdom. Number 8. What is afterwards? Number 8. Afterwards, part 1, is the Histaklut Pnimit, inner reflection, number 34. That which stems from its previous Bechina, discernment. See item number 20. Number 9. What is middle? Number 9. Middle, part 1, chapter 2, or Pnimi, inner light, number 2. See item 39.
Zakai, can you go back to number 8 just for a moment, please?
Yes.
Why does that seem so strange to me? Afterward, that's what stems from its previous discernment.
So the idea is if you have, let's say, phase 2. So phase 2 is afterwards, and phase 1 is before.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right? So when it uses in the Talmud Sefirot the words before and after, it's talking about states. And unlike in corporeality where something moves from one place to another, here we're talking about you still retain the previous phase. So when you're in phase 1 and you reach phase 2, you still have to deal with phase 1. But phase 2, compared to phase 1, is after phase 1. So you've got before and after.
Yes, thank you. For some reason, my brain got that mixed up. Thank you very much.
No problem. Number 10. What is 1? Number 10. 1. Part 1. Chapter 2. Or Pnimi, inner light. Number 1. The Elyon, upper light, that expands from his Atzmut essence is 1 and as Pashut, simple as his Atzmut essence. As it is in Ein Sof boundless, so it is in Olam Asiyah, world of action, without any change and addition of tzura form whatsoever. And that is why it is called 1. Number 11. What is creator? Number 11. Creator, part 1. Istaklut Pnimit, inner reflection. Number 18. The name creator relates solely to the actual chidush, innovation, novelty, meaning the existence from absence, which is the substance of the kilim, vessels, defined as the world receive in every essence. It was necessarily absent from his atzmut essence prior to creation.
Wouldn't it make more sense that it was said creation?
So the idea is that the creator is talking about if you're creating something. So the idea is that we only talk about the creator because something has been created.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna. Yeah, you don't need creator if you don't have creation.
Exactly. So the idea is that you can't be called a father unless you have a son.
Okay.
So it's the son is what makes you a father. So the idea is that creation is what makes us able to call it the creator. Number 12. What is Dvekut? Adhesion. Number 12. Dvekut adhesion, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light. Number 30. It is Hishtavut Tzura, equivalence of form, that brings the spirituals together and attaches them to one another, while the Shinui Tzura, change of form, departs them from one another. Number 13. What is equivalence? Number 13. Equivalence, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light. Number 10. When there is no discernment whatsoever among the 4 Bechinot discernments of the will to receive, it is said that they are even and equal. Number 14. What is Hitpashtut? Expansion. Number 14. Hitpashtut, expansion, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light. Number 1. Or light that stems from the Maatzil emanator to the Netzal emanated is called Hitpashtut, expansion of or light. In fact, the Elyon, upper light, is not affected in any way by that. It is like lighting one candle from another, when the first is not lessened by it. The name only indicates the reception of the Netzal emanated. Number 15. What is Zach? Pure. Number 15. Zach, pure. Part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light. Number 90. Bechina Aleph, first discernment, in the will to receive, is regarded as more Zach, pure, than the 3 Bechinot discernments that follow her. Number 16. What is time? 16. Time, part 1, Istaklut Pnimit, inner reflection. Number 34. It is a certain sum of Bechinot discernments that hang down from one another and are mingled with one another by an order of cause and consequence, such as days, months, and years. Number 17. What is darkness? Number 17. Darkness, part 1, Istaklut Pnimit, inner reflection. Number 24. Bechina Daled, fourth discernment, in the Ratzon, desire, which does not receive the Elyon, upper light, inside her, by the power of the Tzimtzum restriction, is regarded as the shorish root of the darkness. Number 18. What is Hochma? Wisdom. 18. Hochma, wisdom, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light. Number 50. It is the or light of the Atzmut essence of the sustenance of the Netzal emanated. See item 5. Number 19. What is Halal? Emptiness. Number 19. Halal, emptiness, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light. Number 6. Bechina Daled, fourth discernment of the Ratzon desire, that became empty of or light, is regarded as darkness compared to the or light. With respect to the Kli vessel, she is regarded as a halal, emptiness, because Bechina Daled, fourth discernment, was not deprived from the Netzal emanated in its atzmut essence by the Tzimtzum restriction, but there is an empty Avir, air in it, without or light. Number 20. What is before and after? Number 20. Before and after, part 1 is the Kluklimit inner reflection, number 34. When speaking of relationship of cause and consequence of the Netzalim emanated, we express the cause by the term before and the consequence of that consequence by the term after. See item 16. Number 21. What is unique and unified? 21. Unique and unified. Part 1 is the Kluklimit inner reflection, number 1. Unique indicates the Elyon upper light that shines and rules all the various degrees in their different forms to the extent that it makes them equalize with his unique Tzura form. Unified indicates the end of that rule, meaning after he had already equalized and brought the Tzura form to be as unique as he is. See item 14. Number 22, what is unification? Number 22, unification, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi in a light, number 6. Two different bechinot, discernments, that have equalized with one another in their tzura form, unite into one. See item 12.
How can you equalize two different bechinot discernments?
What did you say?
How can you equalize two behinots? Yeah.
So, for example, if you take two discernments, let's say hot and cold, the unification of it is when you're saying temperature. You're including in that temperature, in that one concept, the range within it, which is hot and cold. So unifying it together.
Okay, and how do you unify phase 2 and phase 3, for example?
So the idea is that you unify, inside phase 3, there is phase 2. So inside phase 3, there's phase 2, and there's a beginning of phase 4. So actually phase 3 is a medium discernment between the two. That's what allows you to move from phase 2 to phase 4. So by having that phase 3 within you, it allows you to mediate between the two. Number 23, what is right and left? Number 23, right and left. Sometimes an inferior degree ascends to an equal level with the superior, when the superior needs her for her own completion. In that state, the inferior is regarded as the left, and the superior as the right. Number 24, what is maker? Number 24, maker, part 1, is the Kluklimit inner reflection, number 18. The title maker relates specifically to the pouring of the aura light into the Olamot worlds, which means everything but the substance of the Kelim vessels. See above items 11 and 1.
Kai, can you go back to 23 for just a moment,
Yes.
please? I'm sorry, I missed part of this, so I just want to reread it again.
You want to read it?
Sure. Sometimes an inferior degree ascends to an equal level with the superior. When the superior needs her for her own completion, in that state, the inferior is regarded as the left and the superior as the right. Thank you. I just.
What happens to the inferior degree afterwards? After, the superior uses it for completion.
Well, if it stays with it for completion, it'll stay there. And if not, it will turn to be the lower. Number 25, what is a Kli vessel? Number 25, Kli vessel, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi in a light. Number 6, the will to receive in the Netzal emanated is the Kli vessel. Number 26, what is above? 26 above, part 1, chapter 2, or Pnimi in a light. Number 3, Hishtavut Surah, equivalence form of the inferior with the superior, is a rise above. Number 27, what is Maatzil, emanator? Number 27, Maatzil, emanator. Any cause is regarded as the Maatzil, emanator of the affected degree. The title Maatzil, emanator, contains both the Amshacha, attraction, of the aura light and the Kli vessel that receives the aura light.
Is this term similar as creator?
Yes. So then you could say, what is the difference between creator and emanator? When a phase emanates another phase, they're still connected to each other. Well, when a phase creates another phase, the phase that it creates is opposite to it. And that's why we say that the creator created the will to receive, since the creator does not have the will to receive. Therefore, it inverted itself, inverted the will to bestow to create the will to receive. Well, with the emanating, when we talk about the phases, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is normally when we talk about the emanation, they're connected to one another. They're not total opposites. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. 28. What is the origin of the Neshama soul? Origin, number 28. Origin of the Neshama soul, part 1, is the Kluklimit inner reflection, number 15. The will to receive that was imprinted in the souls is what separates them and severs them off of the Elyon upper light. That is because it is the Shinut Zohar, change of form, that separates in spirituality. See item 12. The issue of the origin of the Neshama soul refers to the transition between Olam Atzilut, world of emanation, and Olam Bariah, world of creation, which will be explained in its place. Number 29. What is below? 29. Below, part 1, chapter 2, or Pnimi, inner light. Number 3. The one of a lesser virtue is regarded as being below.
Virtue in terms of what?
Less pure. Basically has more will to receive. So a degree that has more will to receive is considered below, and the upper is considered a phase with less will to receive. So actually phase 3 is below phase 2, even though it's more advanced.
But the fact that it's more not pure, but corrected, doesn't make it superior.
But it's not more corrected. It's more will to receive, but it's not a corrected will to receive.
Okay.
Because you only get the screen after the barrier.
So after the barrier, it is considered to be superior then.
Yes, but the idea is that because you're looking from think of the idea is that the closer you are to the root, then you're considered upper, and the lower you are to actually reaching the goal of under-correction, then it's considered below. Because there's more will to receive going along the way. Number 30, what is unified? 30, unified. See definition of unique and unified. Number 31, what is Malchut de Sof, boundless kingdom? Number 31, Malchut de Sof, boundless kingdom, part 1, is the Kluf Pnimit, inner reflection, number 14. It is the will to receive that is necessarily there. 32, what is from above downward? 32, from above downward, part 1, chapter 2, or Pnimi, inner light, number 3. Meaning from Bechina Aleph, first discernment, to Bechina Dalet, fourth discernment. Bechina Dalet, fourth discernment, that was left without aura light, is regarded as being below all the other degrees. The frailer the will to receive, the higher one is considered to be. Therefore, Bechina Aleph, first discernment, is regarded as the highest of all. Number 33, what is fulfilling? 33, fulfilling, part 1, where there isn't any want whatsoever, and where in addition to the completeness that exists, there cannot be conceived.
Is this state ever reached?
Yes. And under correction. Number 34, what is above below? 34, above below, part 1, chapter 2, or Pnimi, inner light, number 3. The more important is regarded as above, and the worse as below. Number 35, what is a place? 35, place, part 1, is the Kluk Pnimit, inner reflection, number 11. The will to receive in the Netzel emanated is the place for the Shefa abundance and the Or light in it. Number 36, what is a square? 36, square, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi inner light. Number 200. It is a degree that consists of all 4 bechinot, discernments, of the Ratzon, desire. Number 37, what is a triangle? 37, triangle, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi inner light. Number 400. It is a degree with only the first 3 bechinot, discernments, of the Ratzon, desire. Number 38, what is touching? 38, touching. Part 1, chapter 2, or Pnimi, inner light. Number 5. If the Shinui Tzorah, change of form of the degree from the Shoresh root, is not so apparent as to separate from the Shoresh root, it is regarded as touching the Shoresh root. The same applies between 2 adjacent degrees. Number 39, what is the middle point? Number 39, middle point, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light. Number 50. This is the name of B'china Dalet, fourth discernment in Ein Sof, boundless. She is named after her unification with Or Ein Sof, boundless light.
What is the relationship between this boundless light and boundless desire? Because the Malchut of Ein Sof, Malchut is a desire, infinite desire, but then is it receiving the boundless light too?
It's infinite desire and potential. So it's boundless light and potential.
So what are you describing the light to be then?
The potential.
Because the Or Ein Sof contains both the Shefa and whatever receives the Shefa.
Right, but even both the Vessell and the light before the barrier are in potential. They're not in actuality. You're enjoying, in that elevated state of 4.4.4, you're enjoying the potential that you're going to be getting. You don't actually have it in actuality. You could say that is the work that you do in 4.4.2, is accepting that it's potential and not actual. Number 40, what is Sof, end? 40, Sof, end. Part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light. Number 20. The Sof end and the Siyum ending of every Netzal emanated is done by the detaining force in B'china Dalet, fourth discernment, where the Elyon, upper light, stops shining because she does not receive it. 41, what is Igul, circle, Igulim, circles? 41, Igul, circle, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light, number 100. When there are no discriminations of above and below, among the 4 B'chinot discernments of the will to receive, it is considered as an Igul, circle, like a round picture in corporeality, where up and down are indistinguishable. Because of that, the 4 B'chinot discernments are called circular Igulim, circles, one inside the other, where it is impossible to distinguish up from down.
When does this state happens?
So this is the 4 phases before the barrier are called circles. Since the idea you can distinguish in potential, but you can't distinguish in actuality.
Between the will to receive and will to restore.
Yeah. "42. What is Elyon, upper? 42. Elyon, upper, part 1, chapter 2, or Pnimi, inner light, number 3. It is the more important. 43. What is separation? 43. Separation, part 1, is Pnimit, inner reflection, number 12. 2 degrees without any Ishtavut Tzorah, equivalence of form, on any side, are regarded as completely separated from one another.
What does it mean by any side?
From any, the sides are considered the 4 discernments, the 4 phases. So if there's nothing in common between 2 degrees, then they're considered completely separated from one another.
I guess it would be like from the degree above and the degree below.
So the idea is you could look at either 2 adjacent degrees or 2 separated degrees. Like further on, like you could look at the lowest degree and the top degree and see that they've got nothing in common anymore.
But this idea that every phase is stacked on top of each other, that the other one doesn't go away, then isn't this the opposite too?
So it is, if they're totally opposite, then it's considered separation.
But yet both reside within the creator.
Of course.
Okay.
44, what is vacant? 44, vacant, part 1, chapter 1, or epitome, inner light. Number 4, this is a place that is prepared to receive tikkun, correction, and wholeness. Number 45, what is Pashut? Simple. 45, Pashut, simple, part 1, chapter 1, or epitome, inner light. Number 9, where there are no discernments of degrees and sides. Number 46, what is Tzimtzum, restriction? 46, Tzimtzum, restriction, part 1, chapter 1, or epitome, inner light. Number 40, one who conquers one's desire. In other words, one who detains oneself from receiving and does not receive despite one's great desire to receive, is regarded as restriction, performing a Tzimtzum, restriction, one's desire.
Is this what the masach does, or one restricts before using masach?
So the restriction is basically when you cross the barrier. So when you cross the barrier, you still don't have the screen because you've restricted, you've allowed all the light to dissipate. And when you get the screen, then you're allowing most of the light back in. I'd actually say the opposite, only a bit of the light to come back in, since most of the light is actually the fourth phase.
What causes then the tzimtzum, the restriction?
The restriction is moving from the sense of self, from the will to receive, to the sense of self, to the will to bestow. So you're basically entering a new room. So it's considered as if the light of the previous room has dissipated.
Because you're not in that room anymore, therefore you cannot see it.
Exactly. It's like someone who is working at a job, and then they get fired and move to a new job. So it's considered that they've been restricted because all the work that they did in the previous job, all that enjoyment, all that pleasure has disappeared, and they have to start again. They have to regain people's trust in their new job and regain people's approval and so forth. So it is that you really had good control of your sense of self as the will to receive, and then when you cross the barrier, now your sense of self is the will to bestow, and you have to do training. You basically become a trainee, and you go, become an employee of the system. You get your soul. You have to work as your sense of self now, as the creator, which is different from when your sense of self was the will to receive. "47, what is Kav line? 47, Kav line, part 1, chapter 2, or Pnimi, inner light, number 1, indicates a discernment of up and down that was not there before. It also designates a much frailer, ha'ara, enlightenment, than before."
What does that mean, a frailer enlightenment?
So the idea is that the line is only receiving the root, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And it's not receiving the phase 4.
Does this relate at all to the right line and left line?
No, this is just to do with the idea of that when you cross the barrier and you really receive the light, you're only receiving in the first 3 phases, which is basically the root phase, first phase, second phase, and third phase, and you're not receiving that light into the 4th phase because you don't want it to drag you back into the will to receive. So you only receive the more bestowing lights and not the strong reception light that you built before you cross the barrier. "48, what is Nia? 48, Nia, part 1, chapter 1, or Pnimi, inner light, number 3. The closer one's tzura form is to another, the closer they are considered to be. 49, what is Rosh, head? 49, Rosh, head, part 2, chapter 2, or Pnimi, inner light, number 6. The part in the Netzal emanated that is most like the Shorish root is called Rosh, head. Number 50, what is Ruach, spirit? 50, Ruach, Spirit, Part 1, Chapter 1, Or Pnimi, Inner Light, number 5. Or Hassadim, Light of Mercy, is called a Ruach, Spirit. Number 51, what is Ratzon Pashut, simple desire? 51, Ratzon, desire. See item 45. Number 52, what is a name? 52, name. Part 1 is the Klupimit inner reflection, number 5. The holy names are descriptions of how the orot lights that they imply are attained. The name of the degree designates the conduct of attainment in that degree. Number 53, what is Toch, inner? 53, Toch, inner, Part 1, Chapter 1, Or Pnimi, inner light, number 50. One who receives inside is regarded as the aura light, being measured and limited in the Kli vessel. However, one who receives outside is not regarded as placing any gvul border on the aura light that one receives.
This means receiving inside it with vessels of reception and the other one with vessels of bestowal.
The toch is what you're basically receiving in order to bestow. So the idea is that you're receiving, and you've got what you're rejecting, which makes that reception into bestow. Receive in order to bestow.
So the rejection part is the one that is considered bestowal?
Yes. Since you're bestowing it back to the Creator, you're rejecting it.
So, okay. So by the end of you're rejecting everything pretty much.
What?
By after at the end of correction, you're rejecting everything.
No. At the end of correction, you don't have to reject anything. Because you are the Creator.
So there is no need for a screen anymore?
You have the screen, but the idea is that how to explain it? The whole reason that what you're rejecting is that phase 4. The reason you have to reject the light from going into the phase 4 is because you can't clothe it with intention. That if you have that light, it will drag you back into the world to receive. When you reach into correction, you still have the screen on all the process that you did beforehand. But after the end correction, you no longer need that screen to reject it in that phase 4, since you can actually handle that phase 4 in order to bestow. So you don't need to reject it anymore.
And by this phase 4, you mean the more coarse desires that have been revealed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 54, what is movement? 54, movement, part 1, is the Klupimit inner reflection, number 33. Any chidush tzura, renewal form, is regarded as a spiritual movement, for it is separated from the previous tzura form and acquires a name of its own. It is like a part that is separated from a corporeal object that moves and exits its earlier place.
Is this the idea that at the correction, like you go back to no movement, like the Creator? The Creator says that the Creator is still, like there's no movement in Him.
Right.
That means that it's already corrected.
Yes. Well, you could, if you're looking from the perception of from our perception, yes, the Creator perspective is the corrected state. That doesn't need any more correction.
I mean, like for example, like that right now, all that we desire is just to stop moving. Like I would give anything so I can just slide down, like not do anything. But that goes back to the fact that the inner desire to, reaching that state where you don't have to keep changing towards a Creator because you're already there.
So the idea is that it's given an example of children. If you say to a child, sit down and do nothing, it actually sees that as a problem. Did you hear me? I'll repeat it.
I didn't understand it.
Okay, so the idea is that a child, when you tell it to sit down and do nothing, it sees it as torture because it wants to move. Right? It doesn't see movement as a problem. And as we get older, we suddenly want to do nothing. But that's just because we're more, our intention is increased to be in order to receive, which means in order to receive death and no movement. So the idea is in order to bestow is actually to do movement and enjoy it, because you're doing inner movement instead of external movement.
So once you reach completion with the Creator, movement is needed in terms.
Well, the idea is that at end of correction, you start really working on expression, but you enjoy it.
That is still considered movement?
So the idea is it's no longer considered movement, since you're not going through corrections. So movement is only considered from a corrective perspective.
Okay.
You enjoy doing expression. So I purposely didn't give an explanation on each item, since we've actually, we've now done, 22 sessions. Did you feel that you understood a lot of the terms without an explanation on them?
Yes.
I agree. Yes, I understood some of them, but to understand the full scope of all of these is a daunting task, I think. And I don't want to memorize this. I don't want to do it by rote. Be able to look at one of these and instantly give you an explanation or give you a description of it. So it's going to require some work, I think.
So the idea is that it'll become easier and easier. First of all, when you go over it again, go over the material, and also as you advance spiritually, it'll just make so much sense to you.
And I've said this before, all of this is becoming easier and easier. It's not like the very first time or the first few times I heard this in the EC, my eyes would glaze over and roll in the back of my head, and it's like it was so excruciating. Now it's much better. It's more palatable. I understand each time we go through this, I understand a little bit more. So it's a pleasant experience now.
That's the idea.
And actually, I had this discernment today while I was listening to old songs I used to listen when I was a kid. And then all of a sudden I heard the lyrics. I'm like, I understand this because now I've actually gone through this. And before, like, it went through my head and out the other one because it's like I had no way to relate to it because I've never been through it. So those phases. But now, yes, of course, now I've attained it. Therefore, I can listen to the lyrics, read, and understand. And go back to it and reflect about it.
All right, I think we'll stop here and into the after party.